Hello everyone, welcome to my first video on making a video game. In this series I'm gonna make a base building game, and after that I will go into other kinds of games, the first person shooter, multiplayer, all of that. Just a small disclaimer, I'm not a professional game creator. As you see, I've messed around with Blender, also with Blender and with Unity for at least 4 years. These are old projects, and I was thinking maybe I should revive my channel, start making some tutorials on how to do specific stuff. So in this case it's gonna be a base building. I know I called it RTS up here, but it's mainly a base building. RTS works very similar, and I will do some extra tutorials on that, on how to make specific RTS pieces. But yeah, base building. So if you're new to Unity, you should see this screen if you download the Unity Hub. You can click new, you can create a game. Now later down the line we're gonna upgrade to the the universal render pipeline, but for now we're just gonna use 3D because we're not really I'm not gonna do too many visual things right now. So you give your project a name, you give it a location where you want it to save, and you click create. I already did that, so I can just open it and we should get to this. Now what this is it's your main screen. This is where you're gonna do everything. You're gonna add in models, you're gonna add in your scripts, everything will happen here. I am not going to go too deep into this is how it works, this is how that works, this is how that works. I will do that for the scripts so you guys can understand completely what I'm doing, but for how Unity works there's a lot of tutorials on how to do that, the same as with what I'm going to do, but this is also a reminder to myself as to how to use Unity and everything that how to make a game and what scripts I need and all of that stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that I would like to do is, we got this folder with scenes. I want to create another folder called Scriptable Objects. Scriptable Objects. Now what a scriptable object is, it's something in Unity that stores data. You can have a character, you can have objects like let's say a bow, and you want to have an amount of damage that the bow does, you want to have maybe a deterioration rate, whatever, how many uses the item has, a name, a description. All of that gets stored in Scriptable Objects to make it easier on your scripts, to make it easier on your game, that it doesn't have to constantly load in and look for different things, because it's all stored in the Scriptable Object. So in Scriptable Objects, first of all I'm gonna make another folder for the character, because any base building game you're gonna have multiple different characters. In my case it's gonna be a male and a female. The male will have the attributes to a male, and the female will have the attributes to a female. So skin color, eye color, clothing, whatever, you can all store that in there, and then later we can take it out of that folder and put it on an actual object. So characters, and I'm gonna create a C# script. I'm gonna call it SO character. So I know this is the script that's representing the scriptable object. Now as we go I'm gonna explain how all of this works, but for now let's just load in that scriptable object. You can see Visual Studio is activating, and there we go. Oops, you can't see it. There we go. Now if this lettering is too small, please let me know, and in future videos I'll try to make it bigger. For me now I'm using a 4K screen. This is already really big because I'm kinda converting it to 1080p. Okay, so Scriptable Objects, we don't want it to derive from mono behavior. We want it to derive from Scriptable Objects. So Scriptable, capital S, and Objects, capital O. Scriptable Object. This way we tell Unity, hey, we're using a scriptable object, don't do the mono behavior stuff, just use the scriptable object stuff. Now, like I said, it's gonna store everything that we need in here, so like a character name, a character, is it a boy or a girl, what is his skin color, and all of that stuff, but we're gonna do that in a list. So immediately we're already going to do something quote-unquote advanced by saying public list with this is smaller and is bigger than, and we're gonna say string small s, and I'm gonna call this first name. Now both the man as the female, the women will have a first name and a last name for my for what I'm making. So I will type in public list of string first name, and I will also make a public list of string last name. But at this moment this is not going to do anything, because we first have to initialize it by saying is equal to new list of string, and there we go. So basically we created a new list in which we can store data. We're gonna do the same for the last, at least I'm gonna do the same for the last name. Last name, a public list of string, and that's basically it. If we now save this, we can go into Unity and you will see nothing has happened. If I put in, I'll put in a cube real fast. We have our cube right here, very nice little cube. If I put this script on him, it says script type not found. That's because we made a scriptable object, and we need to make sure that we can actually find that scriptable object. So how do we do that? Well, we go back into our script, and above public class so whatever name it is that you gave it, we're gonna do it the square brackets, and in those square brackets we're gonna say create asset menu, each word with a capital letter. So this is basically saying to Unity, hey, create this so we can get it in Unity itself. Normal brackets, file name, and this is the name that you're gonna give it whenever you make a new item. Like if you make a new cube, it's gonna say cube. In this case I'm gonna say new character, and then a comma, menu name. So that's for the menu that we're now creating, the asset menu that we're creating. What's the name of that menu, how does it work, and all of that stuff. Also don't forget to put it between these quotation marks. So menu name is equal to, again, quotation marks, and because this is a scriptable object, I'm gonna call it script. You don't need to do this, by the way. Scriptable object slash, and then I'm gonna say which kind of scriptable object is this. So this is gonna be a character, basically, and that's it. Now we made a menu where we can put the character into. So if we now save it and now we go back into Unity, it compiles. We still can't put this on it because the script type is not found, but what we can do is right click, create, and now we see that there's a little box showing up saying scriptable object, and I can choose character. Now this, as you see, the name is new character. I'm gonna call this male, because this one will store all the data for the male. Now if we select this, you can see in the top right we get a list of first name and a list of last name. I'm gonna put 5 items in the first name and let's say 3 items in the last name. So in this case I need to give it male names: John, Benny, Luke. I'm gonna do something stupid, banana, and what else? Steve. Just because I thought of Minecraft for a second. And last name, let's say fruit, popsicle. You can literally name this whatever you want, and triangle. There we go. So yeah, we stored all of this data. This will never change. Whenever you have a male character, this will be exactly the same on each and every character that you get. So each character can have a name from here and a last name from here. And yeah, at this moment we can't put it on the character. I try, it doesn't do anything. How do we fix that? Well, we make another script and we call this character. In my case, I'm using SO character as a reference to this is a scriptable object, and then the exact same name without the SO, which is a reference to, okay, this is where we get all the data from that scriptable object. So I just called it character, I go to my cube, and this I am gonna put on my cube. So when we open that, we see a start function, an update function. I don't need the update function at the moment because there's nothing that can be updated. But we do need to have the start function for what we're going to do. So like I said, the SO, it stores all the data. But we do need to find a way to get that data from that SO and put it on the specific character. So we're gonna say public SO character, so basically the script that we just made, the SO script, and I'm gonna call it char, as in this character char. This way we can then say, hold on, then we are going to, what is wrong here? Ah yeah, char is not allowed. I'm just gonna say character then. Char is something of unity or mono behavior, so if you say char, that's gonna cause problems. So I'm gonna call it character, and under that I'm gonna say public string character first name and public string character last name. In this case you can say char, I'm saying it full out because I used the full out up here as well. So, okay, we can save this, we can check, and because we know we have a list of character names, we can go to our character, which is the cube, and now we have two fields for the last name and the first name. Now, we are gonna make sure that when we press play, that there's gonna be a name pop up in here. As at this moment you see there's no name popping up and the character SO is also empty. So let's change that first by clicking on the little arrow if you don't find it in your assets, and then in this case the male, because I made a male character. There we go. That's basically it. So we got our character SO in it. This is working, but still if we press play, the names do not pop up, even though we get a reference, even though we say we want the first name and a last name, because the script can't find it out of itself. So what we have to do is, in start, we have to say character first name is equal to, and then character dot, and we have to check what we named it, first name. Character dot first name. There we go. Now for the second one, for the last name, we have to do exactly the same. So just copy paste, and instead of first name we say last name. Okay, so in theory this should work, but because we made the list, we're gonna get a little problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two brackets. When you don't make a list, when you just have one character and you say string character name in your SO, you don't need to do this, but because we made a list, we need to make these square brackets. I'm gonna put those in both of them, and in there I'm gonna say new random dot range, both capital, open brackets, and I'm gonna say 0, comma, character dot first name dot count. Basically saying if you have 5 names in your character, then 5 is gonna be the count, the maximum. 0 is the lowest number from the random range, and 5 in this case, the count is gonna be the maximum, and the maximum is always the maximum amount of characters you have. The reason why I'm doing it like this is later, let's say you have 10 names, you can easily say 0 and 10. But if you change something in your SO and you make 20 names, 30 names, you're gonna have to come back to this script and manually change this to 30, 40, how many ever you have. In this case, when you do it like this, you're literally just saying, hey, whenever the start is called, so whenever the game starts, give this character a name, and look at how many names are in the list of first name, and take one between 0 and the maximum amount. So we're gonna reuse this. We're gonna copy paste that into the random range, and we're gonna say character last name. There we go. So now if we save this and we go back into Unity, it's gonna compile again. I'm gonna select my cube so we get our character script visible, and if I press play, there we go. His name is Benny Triangle. If I stop it and I start again, he should have a different name, and his name is Luke Popsicle. So that's how you randomize for a game like this, for a base defense game. This is how you can randomize names. Now that's not the only thing you can randomize, and we are gonna add one more thing to it. A public color with a capital C, color. So basically we are now having a color that we can give to every single character. And I forgot to show you guys that here. Color, basically. So save that, and in Unity itself, again, it's saving, it's compiling. I'm gonna go to my character, and there's no colors in there. So how am I going to get that color? Because when I press the cube, you can see I can select the color and I can change it to whatever I want. If I want it to be blue, I can make it blue. But I want all of this to be on my SO. So that's very simple. I can say public color, go to my SO, and underneath my list of first name and last name, I can say color. In this case, it's gonna be the same thing. I want to have multiple colors. So I'm in my SO character and I made a public color. I want to have multiple colors. I want to have like a yellowish, a brownish, a bluish, whatever you want. So again, we're gonna make another list of color, and that's called color. And don't forget to initialize it, new list of color. There we go. We can save that. And now if we go into Unity, the compilation is done. If we go to our SO, we can see, oh look, we got 5 first names, which are still there, it didn't change, 3 last names, and we got a color field. I'm gonna add in 2 colors. Let's say a greenish one, if this is green. There, a greenish one. I'm gonna take a bluish one, and why not, I'll take another one, a reddish one. There we go. So we got 3 colors in our color, and I want this cube to change color, basically. Now I have to look for the mesh renderer. the material of the mesh renderer, and in that material I have to change it. Now, to make that easier for myself, I'm just going to go to my assets, and I'm gonna at random make a material, and I'm gonna call it test material. This material I'm gonna drag on the character. So now we can see here in materials it says test material. Okay, so back into our scripting. In our character, you see we have a public color. This doesn't need to be public. You can make this private. You can also make this private, but I later want to use this, that when you click on a character, you can see his first name and last name, and that's gonna be in a different script. So I have to make this public so I can actually get it from this script into the other script. So okay, we're going back into start, and we're gonna say color is equal to, and we're just gonna take all of this again, the entire line, but instead of character last name, we're gonna say character.color, and I should have named it skin color, but it's okay, and then character.color.count. There we go. Now, if we go back into Unity, there's gonna be a tiny little problem. The fact that we won't see anything because my camera is nowhere near where it should be. My camera is very far off. I'm gonna put this at 0, 0, 0. I'm gonna zoom in on it. There we go. And where's my main camera? My main camera is looking straight at it. Okay, so if I now press play, you can see we still have our white cube. But if we go into his settings, we can see that his name is Steve Popsicle and he has the blue color, which was not the color that we gave it. We gave it something greenish. So that changed. Let's try that again. And it's still blue. Why is that? I'm gonna change this to white so it actually shows up. There, it's still blue, and it's again blue. Let's do it again. And now it's red. So now we got a red character, which means that it's working. The more colors you have, the easier it's going to be to see the difference. But yeah, we want it to be on our character. Now at this moment it's just a cube, it's not that super important, but later down the line when you have a character and you want to change the albedo color, hey, you have a nice skin, you want to change it to a brownish or a blue or whatever color, you can easily do that with this kind of script as well. Now back in the script, at start I'm gonna say that mesh renderer mesh rend, this is how I'm gonna call it. I can also say renderer, maybe that makes it easier, is equal to this, so referring to the character that we got, dot game object. We're gonna look in the game object, do we have a mesh renderer, dot get component, so this is where we are actually going to look, mesh renderer. There we go. So now we're literally saying, hey game, look at my character. Does this object that we put the script on, does it have a mesh renderer? If it does, okay, then underneath color, where it says color is character color, we're gonna say mesh renderer dot color is equal to color. I believe it's like this. It could be that I'm wrong. And mesh renderer doesn't have a definition for color. Ah yeah, mesh renderer dot material dot color. I believe that was it. With a small m. Yep, with a small m. So if we save that and we go into Unity, when we now press play, boom, we got a red cube. Let's try it again. And now we got a green cube. And one more time. Can I get blue now? Nope, red again. So that's how that works. This was a basic introduction into characters and how to set up a character for a base building game. Now what we can do, we can go into our scriptable object, into our character, and we can say we got our male, we can create a new one, character, and we can say female. There. So we got we got our list, first name, last name, and color. Now here it depends on what you do. There should be a way that you can make all of these colors the same for the male and the female, but in this case you can just press the icons and then look for the color. Come on. You can make presets basically. So if I go into my male, I can click on my green and I can say click to add a preset. I can click on my blue, click to make a preset, and I can click on my red, click to make a preset. So now if I go into the female, I can say green, blue, and red. So that's how you can make all the colors the same for both male and female. For the names, you just have to mess around. You just give them some names. You now know how it will change. So yeah, have fun with that. This was, like I said, the introduction into scriptable objects and what they do. In the next video, we're gonna do something similar. We're gonna build on the SO, make it a little bit more advanced for a game object like a tree. What does the tree drop when you hit it? How long is the tree's health or life cycle? How long does it take to grow? All of that stuff. I will see you guys in that video. Bye.